Is it scummy or is it not? Let's break it down. Now, I'm making this video for a couple of reasons. Number one, a lot of the comments that I got on the most recent video regarding balance changes and my opinion on basic unit possession rush received a lot of different opinions. Some people who don't agree with the balance changes, who do agree, people who think that basic unit possession rush is totally fine, people who think that it's really overpowered. And I wanted to present my opinion on what I think is scummy or not scummy to use in a game. And the second reason that I wanted to make this list is it really blew my mind what some people consider okay and not okay to use in Evil Dead the game. Everyone is going to have a different opinion. Every single game that you ever play, and it's especially true in asymmetrical games. We saw this in Dead by Daylight, and now we're seeing it in Evil Dead. Everyone has a different opinion in terms of what's okay and what's not okay to do. Everyone seems to have a different rule book. Did you break the rules? Is this cheap? Is this dirty for you to use? And everyone has a differing opinion. And to kind of piggyback off this second reason, I was playing against a demon streamer on Twitch. I'm not going to name any names, but I was playing against him, and I was just trying to get a little B-roll footage for a video that I want to do coming up. And I saw after the match was over that it was a Twitch streamer, and I went and I checked out their VOD, and I noticed, because in the match, they had started shooting down bodies in order to possess me forever, essentially. I was playing Evil Dead 2 Ash at the time. And they had said that the reason they were using that exploit, oversight, whatever you want to call it, is because I had vaulted a window. I vaulted a window, and they considered that an exploit. And I had never even considered that vaulting a window was, that anyone would consider that an exploit. So that kind of inspired me to make this video, because also I want to have this discussion. I want people to comment and give their own opinions on whether or not you think any of these things are scummy or not scummy to use. And we're also specifying that it's scummy or not scummy. It's not necessarily differentiating between, is it an exploit or is it an oversight? Some of these things might clearly be exploits, but I might not think that it's necessarily scummy to use. Some of these things are clearly not exploits and are probably just oversights, and I might think that it's scummy to use. So it really could vary, and I like getting this discussion going because I like hearing everybody's opinions. And the video that comes out after this is actually going to be me reading YouTube comments on my last two videos before this one and responding to some comments and opinions about the most recent balance patch, because I love reading what people have to say, even if they disagree with me. So let's get right into it. The blue ones here, the blue, whatever you want to call these are like survivor based exploits or oversights. The red ones are demon based exploits or oversights, and I will explain why I believe each thing is scummy or not scummy as we go on. I'm going to start with the basic possession rush. I know it's not the first thing in the list, but I'm going to start with this because it's the hot topic right now. Is basic unit possession rushing in the beginning of the game scummy or not scummy? It's not scummy. Whenever I'm playing a match, is it frustrating to go against? Yes. Do I think it's too strong right now? Yes. Do I blame a demon player for using it? No, because it is by far, even still, even with the buffs that demons have received in other categories, it's still by far their best strategy for sure. So I don't get upset and go, oh, that demon is cheating, so now let me go find the nearest blue hunting rifle and just start rocking their balance bar, because this is BS. I don't get upset about it. Sure, it's annoying, but I don't consider the demon player to be cheating or exploiting or anything like that if they're using basic unit possession rushing. It's totally fine in my opinion. And to piggyback off that, I just talked about it, the blue hunting rifle. I absolutely believe using the blue hunting rifle, picking it up, is scummy. Now, that's not to say anything about people who may be new to the game and don't know that it's bugged. But if you know it's bugged and you pick it up anyway because you want to take advantage of its bugged balance bar damage, which, by the way, if you didn't know, its balance bar damage is bugged to do 255 balance bar damage instead of the 51 that it's supposed to do. So it basically could stagger a unit in one shot. So it's really, really crazy. 1 to 2 shots, you fully empty out a unit's balance bar. So it's really OP. And the main reason I think this is scummy is that there are certain characters and things that you could use in this game where it's like, you can't necessarily just not use that thing or not do that thing because it's hard to avoid using it. It's so easy to avoid picking up a blue hunting rifle. Like, there's so many other options. Chances are throughout a match, if you're like a hunter class, you're gonna find a better gun than a blue hunting rifle anyway. If you just have a white hunting rifle, it's not that much of a downgrade from the blue. So it's like, you know, assuming you're not factoring in the bugged part of it. So it's not like a huge detriment to you or the survivors to just avoid outright picking up the blue hunting rifle. I think it's pretty scummy if you're the type of person who goes and picks that up. And again, another segue, that's why I think that playing Arthur, who's currently bugged, and I will do the same for Kelly, I don't think playing either of those characters is scummy. That might be controversial. I've seen a lot of demon players complain about it and be like, "Oh man, that's not fair. They're both like way too good." Arthur right now is bugged to where his melee boost that he supplies to his teammate is also supplying a ranged boost as well, which is pretty significant. And Kelly's level 25 ability, which is only supposed to apply to her melee, is also applying to her ranged. So she's doing an incredible amount of damage right now. So for me, I think that it stinks to be like, well, this character's bugged, and it's probably, by the time they get around to fixing this, these characters will probably have been bugged for close to 2 months by the time they likely get fixed. And to tell somebody who might like playing Kelly, you can't play your favorite character for 2 months because their damage is a little out of control, or you can't play Arthur because his melee boost is applying range to everybody, and that's out of control. That stinks. And if I saw somebody in a game like that and I'm playing demon, is it annoying? Sure. It's like basic possession rush. Is it annoying? Sure. Am I going to look at somebody using that and be like, well, they're cheating, they're exploiting? No, I don't think it's like a dirty thing. And on the flip side of that, and this is the funny thing when I see this from demons that complain about these two characters, is that Evil Ash, the Necromancer, is also bugged. Evil Ash is bugged so that his resurrection ability that allows him to resurrect units that die keeps working after Evil Ash himself dies. And that's not supposed to happen. And yet, any demon main I've seen complain about Arthur or level 25 Kelly, I've never seen them complain about using Necromancer right now, because I think if you were to stay consistent, you would say, well, if it's not okay to play Arthur or level 25 Kelly, then it certainly can't be okay to play Evil Ash. Now, obviously, somebody who would try to defend that would be like, well, you know, Necromancer and Evil Ash's ability being bugged isn't on the same level of power as Arthur and Kelly being bugged. But it's still hypocritical, if you ask me. So on that note, I don't think it's scummy to play Evil Ash either, because again, maybe you just really like playing as Evil Ash. He's a really cool character. The Necromancer's an awesome character. He was super cool in Army of Darkness. So to be like somebody buys this game and they're like, oh man, I watched Army of Darkness, love that movie. They want to play as Evil Ash, and you tell them, well, you can't, buddy, because it's scummy right now because his resurrection works longer than it's supposed to. I don't care about that. I don't mind it at all. Blocking the book with cars. I actually had this happen in a game once, and it's absolutely scummy. I think it's terrible. Basically what it is survivors will go get a bunch of cars and they'll park them in front of the book, and while they're parked there, it stops demons and AI units from getting to the book to hit it and wear down its HP. And that just stinks. It's clearly not meant to work that way. It's clearly an exploit. It's clearly an unfair advantage for the survivor team. You have to work super hard to make it happen. Like, you have to be very coordinated, each person in their own car, each person drive up and park it in the exact spot that you need to. I just think that it's a really crappy thing to do. I don't like it. And the one time that it happened in a game that I was in, I made sure not to participate in it. All right. Now, I will say this. The demon does have a way to counter it. It's not a great counter, but they can possess a car and drive it away. And now that's an easier thing to do now that possessing a car doesn't cost as much infernal energy. So they could drive it away and then possibly break that car once they drive it away. But it may not leave enough time having to do all that to then get to possess another unit, get to the book, and start hitting it and knock it out. So I still think that it's kind of a scummy thing to do. Cars. If you could believe this, cars. It's kind of like window vaults. I've seen people say that cars is an exploit. Just getting in one, just driving one around is an exploit. Absolutely not. It's part of the game. Now, do I think that maybe cars are a little too strong right now? Possibly. I think that that's fair. There's probably too many on the map, I could tell you that. But if a survivor jumps into a car and they're on my team, do I sit there and cross my arms and go, man, what a cheater? Absolutely not. It's a part of the game. And on that note, window vaults as well. Window vaults especially, I think, are way too strong. Window vaults on the survivor side, I think, absolutely needs to be nerfed. Is it way too strong to just have a safe zone in certain parts of the map where you could just vault a window over and over again? Is that fair? No, it's not. And it absolutely needs to be nerfed. However, I don't see that as like an exploit. It's an oversight. It's part of the game. It's too strong. I put it on the same level as basic possession rush. Is it too strong? Is it annoying to go against? Both of those things, yes. But do I consider you some kind of a cheater if you do either of those things? No, I do not. Let's see here. Let's do some demon ones because we're kind of on a roll with survivor ones. Shooting down survivors. Absolutely scummy. And in my opinion, based on what I'm seeing here, I think this is the single scummiest thing you can do in this game on either side, is shooting down survivors. I think it is clearly an exploit. It is clearly not meant to be a thing. And it's definitely not meant, because I could see a demon trying to make the argument, hey, you know, their body's laying right there. Why can't I shoot them still and gain energy? I could see somebody making that argument. I would disagree with you, but I could see somebody making that argument. But there is absolutely zero way to make a good argument for shooting somebody's soul, which you can also do. Once the person is fully bled out and they've turned into a soul, you could keep shooting their soul or their invisible body and gaining infernal energy. And I had this happen to me in a match where a demon player did this to me, and they were able to possess me for a full 2 minutes, and it completely bled me out. It knocked me down by the time they were done possessing me because I was possessed for so long. And they're able to wipe the whole team. Like, it removes all tension. It removes any ability for somebody to clutch. Like, it basically, at that point, if you're shooting down survivors, you might as well just basically like remove the ability to revive teammates if people are going to do that. So I absolutely think it's an exploit. I think it's the single scummiest thing a person can do in this game. And it's probably the #1 thing I would want patched more than anything else. Because I even think about like the blue hunting rifle, for instance. The blue hunting rifle, you're not always going to find one in a match. You may not find a blue hunting rifle the whole game. So that's probably less of a priority than this, because shooting a down survivor, you could do that in every single game. Blocking the book with cars, yeah, you could technically do that in every single game, but you'd have to be very, very organized and have cars already set up and available to you to go do that. And it can ultimately be countered. It's hard to do, but it still could be countered. Like a demon can possess a car and drive it off somewhere and then like wreck it so that you can't get back in it and put it back in place to block the book. So there's but this thing basically has no counter to it, and it can happen every single game. So I absolutely think it's scummy. Puke dodge cancel. I hate puke dodge canceling. I think like it's probably second only to shooting down survivors as like the most irritating thing in this game. However, I don't view it as scummy. I think it's an oversight. I think it's something that the developers even possibly intended. I think it's something that the developers probably didn't really think about how strong that was really going to be. But the main reason I don't like puke dodge canceling is that it just doesn't take any skill, and it really promotes like poor demon play. Especially now after the most recent balance patch, what a lot of demon mains can do is just spawn basic units right in the center of an organized group, possess one, and then puke 360, dodge cancel, and get like 3 free hits. Anyone can do that. Like any jabroni can do that. It doesn't take any skill, and it's super annoying to go up against. However, if I see somebody doing it, I don't go, wow, what a cheater. I don't think that it's scummy. It's super annoying, but I don't see it as something that's like cheating or anything like that. I put it on the same level as window vaults. Is it way too strong? Yes. Do I think it needs to be nerfed? Yes. Do I think it's an oversight? Yes. Do I think it's something that is a complete exploit that people are abusing that makes them super scummy? No, I do not. So that's where I'd put it. Dropping items with mini ash. This is so hard. These are the hard ones. I'm saving the hardest ones for last. This one, actually, no, because this one's easy. Placing the flautist in an unreachable area, absolutely scummy. That one's easy. These last 3 are a little harder, but this one's super easy. Absolutely scummy. If you put a flautist, like if you stuff your face into a wall in a house and put the flautist in an unreachable room, you're the worst. There are some spots I've seen on Dagger and Pages where there's a house nearby and they can put it in an unreachable room, and then you have to try to take the Dagger or the Page for the full length with a flautist up the entire time. And against a good demon, I don't care how organized you are, you're going to lose. And that's why it stinks. There's no counterplay to this. And it really means that regardless of how good you are, it's over if this happens. So it's the absolute worst. I hate it. People know it's cheap. People know you're not supposed to be able to do it. And they do it anyway. And I think it stinks. Possessing to waste ammo / run into the storm. Not scummy at all, and I wasn't even going to add this one. But I wanted to add it because this is probably my most controversial opinion, where I think that this needs to be changed. And this is probably the most survivor biased thing I'm going to say in this entire thing. I hate when, in my opinion, when a demon possesses a person, when they possess a survivor, they need to be doing something. They need to be damaging another survivor. That's what I mean by doing something. They have to be damaging another survivor, and if they are not doing that, you should get unpossessed very quickly. So it shouldn't just be like you're running for a minute into the storm over and over. That's lame. It shouldn't just be you run away from everybody and start shooting your ammo over and over. That's lame. However, I don't think it's scummy. I think it's a totally viable strategy right now. Again, I think it's like an oversight, a thing that people didn't really think demons were going to do. But the main reason that I hate this more than anything else is that one of the most fun and exciting parts of this game is when it comes down to one survivor left. That's super fun and exciting. Seeing if they can get a soul or two and go get the res off. And the ability for a demon to just jump scare you and then possess you and run you out into the storm and you lose, that stinks. I absolutely hate that. I think it's one of the worst things in this game. In my opinion, again, probably the most controversial thing I'm going to say, you should not be allowed to possess the last person alive. That's just me. I think it will make the clutch moments like that much more intense. It'll become up to the demon to actually have to down the person and not just jump scare, possess, and run them into the storm. It's just such a brain dead play. I'd like it a lot more if the last person can't be possessed, and it makes stuff that much more intense. Does that mean that, like, I mean, hunters have already had their stamina nerfed fairly significantly, so at this point, I think it's probably fine, but yeah, that's pretty much it. These ones are really, really tough. Dropping items with mini ash, dropping a weapon before you get possessed. These are the toughest ones to place. And they're so similar to one another, and yet I'm kind of split on both. I'm going to say it's so difficult. Because I don't necessarily think that either one is like scummy. If somebody does it, I don't, but at the same time, I think it's clearly not intended. But my heart says that dropping items with a minute when you run into a mini ash trap is scummy. And the reason for that is that if you do it, it basically makes the mini ashes useless. There's no reason to use mini ashes if you're able to drop items. And it's such an easy fix on the devs part. All you have to do is make it so while that animation is playing, you can't open your inventory. Now, does that mean that, like, people will probably start dropping all their stuff before they open a chest? Sure, but I'm fine with that. But, like, opening the chest, seeing that it's evil ashes, and then dropping all your stuff as a reaction to that, and basically neutralizing the evil ashes or the mini ashes, I think that stinks. It's a serious oversight. I wouldn't call it an exploit. I'd call it an oversight. Is it scummy? Yeah, kind of. I've even done it before. Full disclosure, I've done it before. I've done it recently. But anytime I've done it, I feel like, man, this feels scummy. I shouldn't do this. So it's like what have you ever heard of this thing where if you're having trouble deciding between something, you flip a coin and say, all right, heads, I'm going to do this. Tails, I'm going to do this. And then whatever it lands on, how you feel about what it lands on lets you determine what you should actually do. So if I say dropping items with evil ash is scummy heads, it's not scummy tails, and I flip it and I put it here and it says tails, it's not scummy, and I go, oh man, I feel bad about that. That means it's scummy. And that's kind of where I'm at with this, because now anytime I've done this, I feel like, this doesn't feel very right. This doesn't feel great. And on that note, it's the same thing with this. God, am I even a guy who plays mostly Survivor? If I think that I'm talking like I only play Demon or something in this video. To me, the absolute like main counter to hunters as a class. Think about hunters as a class. What are their upsides? What are their downsides? The upside is they have a ton of dodges and they deal a ton of damage. And that's basically what their class is. They're a glass cannon. They're supposed to be able to be really hard to hit and do a ton of damage. In exchange, they're supposed to be very easy to kill. They don't have a lot of HP and they don't have a lot of fear resistance. And that is kind of their counter because they are glass cannons and they have low fear resistance. You have to manage fear well, because if you get possessed, you can wind up wiping your whole team. And having the ability to just counter that and just drop your weapon, I think stinks, and it just feels scummy. It basically makes it so that hunters don't have any drawbacks. And I don't think that that's right. And much like, say, blocking the book with cars or something, like, this is one of those things that you could still kind of counter it, which is why I'm so iffy on it. I'm so 50-50. Like, you can kind of counter this where if a hunter drops their weapon, well, then you can run them really far away so that they can't get back to their weapon and pick it up, and now it's a useless hunter. So that's why I'm so, like, iffy on, is it scummy? Is it not scummy? Because you could still punish them if they drop their weapon. It's not like there's no way to punish them. It just takes away their hardest counter, their hardest downside. And that's why it feels scummy to me. And it's another one of those things where I feel like it's fairly simple to fix. Obviously, you can't stop a hunter from opening their inventory at all when they're past the fear threshold and ready to be possessed. Because if you did that, then hunters could just be running around the map and not care about their fear. And then you're just like, well, now you can never open your inventory? That's stupid. That doesn't make sense, because maybe you actually do want to drop something for a teammate. And that's really dumb. But I think you can just make it to where the second you meet that threshold for like 3 seconds, you can't open your inventory. Simple. Then it's kind of a skillful play on the demon's part. They have to make sure to possess you in that 3-second window. Otherwise, dropping your weapon is totally fair play. So the demon has to make a really good play. Otherwise, the survivor, the hunter, can counter them. It gives the demon a chance. But I'm still 50-50 on this. For anyone who watches this video, these two right here are the ones that I'm having the toughest time deciding if it's scummy or not. The rest I'm pretty set on. But these two right here, dropping items with mini-ash, dropping a weapon before you get possessed, I'm iffy on. But in my heart, it feels like it's scummy. It just does. I've done both of these things in a match before. Both times I've done it, I've just been like, this doesn't feel right. This feels like I'm exploiting. And so my heart says it's scummy. But you might disagree with me. And if you do disagree with me, let me know in the comments. If you agree with me, go ahead and elaborate on why. And let me know if you think it's scummy or if you don't think it's scummy on any of these topics. Please let me know, because it's an amazing discussion to have. But hey, as usual, if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you watching it all the way through. And also subscribe if you haven't already. About 85% of you are not subscribed, so I'd really appreciate it if you did. And thank you for watching my videos, as always. Really appreciate it. See you later.